you so much. Thank you very much. Well, I think what I'll just do is give a little speech, an abridged version of a speech that I titled Buhari-Bakare, the change we need. In every nation, the greatest legacy that one generation can bequeath to the next is that of a future that glitters with hope and certainty. Dreams of a bright future, the title deed of which is a functional present day that serves as springboard to the desired end. The hope that life will be lived in conformity to the standards that befit humanity. And certainty as regards the availability and the accessibility of those social systems and infrastructure that provide an enabling environment for the maximization of the individual and corporate potential, and consequently, the fulfillment of the national dream. When these elements are present in any nation, and they are guaranteed by established frameworks that ensure their continuity from one generation to another, then the fathers of that nation may retire in fulfillment, as they with insight guide the younger generation who, full of foresight, unleash their energies towards the fulfillment of the national dream. However, when in the course of the life of that nation there arises a disconnect between the frameworks laid by the founding fathers and the prevailing realities, when the values of that nation are broken down and the structure has become lopsided and oppressive, when institutions are severely decayed and the lives of the people are devalued by poor living standards, when the constitutional patterns laid by the founding fathers have been perversely deviated from, and when government has lost its selflessness and has become a self-serving apparatus hijacked by a few, then at that point, the fathers of that nation must come out of retirement. For that nation is in need of a unique breed of visionary leaders, old and young, who can mount up the pillars erected by the founding fathers to reconnect with those dreams of national greatness, to articulate them in visions and dreams of the preferred future, and to lead the nation to its fulfillment. For when the founding fathers of our nation, Nigeria, spearheaded the course of our independence from colonialism and the consequent socio-economic and political subjugation, they had a dream of a great nation built upon the foundation of equality and justice and established upon the pillars of integrity, honesty, hard work, and selfless service. One nation bound together under God in freedom, peace, and unity. A land whose peoples, though from different tribes and tongues, will stand together in the spirit of brotherhood to build a great nation where no one will be oppressed and where peace and justice would reign. These fathers dreamt of a land where no man would face the humiliation of the inability to cater for his household, where no woman would be forced to resort to prostitution or begging to make ends meet, where no child may deny the right to qualitative education or be shamefully sent to the streets to beg or to hawk because of poverty. A land of opportunities, where young and skillful men and women will be provided the platform to labor with a sense of dignity, and in the process not only earn for themselves and their families a comfortable living, but also contribute towards building the economy of the nation to great and towering heights. These ideals of our founding fathers were expressed in creeds written into our founding documents, composed into the lyrics of our founding anthem, reenacted in the pledge by subsequent generations, including ours, the pledge to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all our strength, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory. But 50 years later, the state of the nation is a far cry from the ideals of our founding fathers. 50 years later, Nigeria has become a country whose potential for greatness the old can only be nostalgic about and the young cannot relate to. 50 years later, the frameworks of our nation cannot be said to be standing. Contrary to such values as integrity, honesty, hard work, and selfless service, which constituted the cultural frameworks in the days of our founding fathers, corruption has eaten deep into the soul of our nation,
and in the eyes of the world have become the very definition of the Nigerian culture. We go by the name the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but by the current structure, we are neither truly federal nor are we truly a republic. Our institutions are broken down. Our schools, our hospitals, our families, the police force, the military, the pride of the nation, all performing below potential, all experiencing institutional decay. The government of the day has succeeded in redefining democracy to mean government of the few, by the few, and for the few. The Nigerian people have been left on their own to provide their own electricity, to provide their own security, to provide their own water facilities. This is not the kind of nation that our fathers labored for. I've been told that we used to be known as the giant of Africa, but South Africa has taken the G, and Egypt has taken the I, and we are left as the ant of Africa. Nigeria today is the 29th most underdeveloped nation in the world. It fares better than just a few sub-Saharan African states. Every year, graduates come out of school wondering what to do with their lives because there are no jobs. No wonder the spate of insecurity and violence in our nation. 40 years after we lost 2 million precious Nigerians in a civil war that was triggered by our inability as a nation to integrate beyond ethnic lines. 40 years later, the Niger Delta, a region that provides the mainstay of our economy, has consistently sounded the alarm of self-determination. Violence has engulfed Maiduguri, Jos, Bauchi, and other areas of our nation. And the government of the day is not only clueless, but has left the people vulnerable. The state of the nation is a clear indication that the old order of leadership, characterized by corruption, ineptitude, greed, and personal aggrandizement, has failed our nation. Our nation is in need of a new breed of leadership. A new breed with a distinct creed. Immune from greed because their minds are free. Propelled by a dream that cannot be killed. And guided by light that cannot be dimmed. It is a call for the righteous to arise and lead. The question then is, who can take that lead at this crucial time in our destiny as a nation? At this time in our national existence, when the foundation of our nation are being shaken by the winds of corruption and the storms of lawlessness. At this time, when the frameworks of our nation have lost touch with the pillars laid by the founding fathers, who are those fathers who must come out of retirement to reconnect our nation with the dreams of our founding fathers, to articulate those ideals and visions and dreams of the future that we prefer? Who are those fathers? In the midst of a generation of corrupt and failed leadership, our nation has been blessed by a few who have distinguished themselves above the perversity of their generation. Among these heroes is a soldier in the true sense of the word. A man whose sense of discipline makes him one of the professional soldiers we have had in the history of our nation. A man whose patriotism and commitment to the territorial integrity of our nation was demonstrated in 1983 when he fought for and won back Nigerian territory from Chadian invasion. A man whose integrity and impeccable record of incorruptibility is unparalleled amongst his peers, having held public office 5 times without involvement in a single act of corruption. A man whose commitment to national transformation has matured him into a Democrat. Yes, he has contested elections twice and lost under controversial circumstances. But he is, in 2011, on the way to becoming the Abraham Lincoln of our nation. That is the president we need in 2011. They have said that he's a fundamentalist. They have said he's a religious extremist. They have called him an Islam is betting an Islamic agenda. But he has come out to tell them that he believes in God and he worships God just as they do. only in a different way. And he has no agenda, he has no intention to impose his religious beliefs on anyone. For he believes that every man and every woman have the right to worship God the way they choose. And he has done what no other politician, no other presidential candidate has done in the history of our nation. He has chosen a clergyman, a Christian clergyman, as running mate. And not just a clergyman, not one who does not know his onions, not one who can be tossed about by every wind of doctrine, not one who can be forced to do anything against his beliefs and convictions, or to alter those beliefs and convictions. Not just a religious clergyman, but a prophet. A prophet, the hallmark of whose life is a character of integrity, transparency, accountability, and probity. A prophet who sounded the alarm against injustice, declared the emergence of a new Nigeria, unveiled the blueprint of national transformation, marched the streets to uphold our constitution, and led the move to save Nigeria, to change Nigeria, and to make Nigeria great. That is a combination we need in 2011 as president and vice president. And some have wondered, what will a pastor be doing in politics? And why would he accept to be running mate to a Muslim? And they have wondered, is this not an unequal yoke? Well, I respect the religious sensibilities and sensitivities of these people, but I have a story for them. It was a holiday on one of the beaches of Dubai, and families of different faith were relaxing at the beach. A group of Christian priests were also there. And suddenly, a little child playing by the seashore was carried away by the strong waves of the sea and began to drown. They saw the child drowning, but the waves of the sea were so strong that it would be difficult for anyone to step in to rescue the child. And so they cried out for help. The Christian priests began to pray. One of the priests was so moved that he almost jumped in to rescue the child, not minding the consequences, but the others held him back. And just then, a turbaned Muslim came about to that place with a rescue boat. He was the chief imam of the nearby mosque, and he wanted to rescue that child, but he needed a helping hand. And so he called that priest who was so eager to come on board the boat to join him to rescue the child. And the priest accepted. And the other priest said, "No, don't go." And he asked them, "Why?" And they asked, "Can't you see? It's a Muslim boat. It's driven by a Muslim. Do you want to be unequally yoked with a Muslim?" Well, this story may just be an allegory, but as outrageous and absurd as the reaction of those priests was, so is the reaction of every skeptic and cynic to the decision of Pastor Tunde Bakare to be running mate to General Buhari. Likewise outrageous and absurd, because that drowning child is the next Nigerian that will die in our hospitals of curable diseases if our healthcare is not fixed. That drowning child is the Nigerian child hawking on the streets of our cities, and whose future is hopeless and bleak if child welfare and education is not fixed. That drowning child is the next enterprise or industry that will collapse and go down the drain if power is not fixed. That drowning child is the next family that will wail in Bauchi, in Jos, in Maiduguri, and in the Niger Delta if security is not fixed and conflict is not resolved. That drowning child is the Nigerian state herself that has been called a failed state. That drowning child must not die. That drowning child must be rescued. That drowning child must be saved. That drowning child must not die. And that is why two honest men have boarded the rescue boat. The rescue boat called the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, to save that drowning child. And that is the combination we need. That is the combination we need. Two honest men, a devout Muslim from the north and a devout Christian from the south. That is the combination we need to lift our nation from the quicksands of ethnic and religious divisions to the solid rock of true nationhood. That is the combination we need to level the mountain of corruption that has dwarfed our nation and made her an object of ridicule amongst the nations. That is the combination we need to rebuild the frameworks of our nation, to repair her structure, to revive her culture, to redesign her constitution, to rebuild her institutions, and to reform her government. That is the combination we need to clear the path, to pave the way, to make space, and to raise a generation of young, credible, and vibrant leaders who will mount up the shoulders of these patriotic fathers, to reconnect with those dreams of national greatness, and to lead our nation to the promised land. That is the change we need in 2011. Some have said that what we need is generational shift. They have said that the older generation is responsible for the problems of our nation. They have insulted our parents and have said that they belong to an analog age and cannot relate to a digital age. But they have forgotten that even the young in this order have looted the nation just like the old, and that the nets of the anti-corruption agencies are full of fishes of all ages, old and young. They have forgotten that those who despise their parents can never benefit from their wisdom. No, Nigerians, what we need is not generational shift. What we need is value shift and generational integration, where the younger generation can mount up the shoulders of the older generation to reconnect with the dreams of the founding fathers, to see the promised land with the feet of the older generations firmly rooted in the values that can lead our nation to that promised land. That is the change we need in 2011. That is the change we need. And some may ask, what are the features of this change? The Congress of Progressive Change, CPC, is committed to a holistic agenda for change in 5 dimensions: politics and governance, security and conflict resolution, the economy and infrastructure base, society and human capital development, and the environment. The CPC is committed to change in all of these dimensions. And with these holistic dimensions for change, our culture, the value of corruption, of anti-corruption, will be restored to our nation, because the CPC will remove the immunity clause from our constitution. The CPC will ensure that the Freedom of Information Bill is enacted without equivocation. The CPC will ensure that minutes of meetings in local governments are published, and that spendings up to 10 billion naira will be published, just to ensure that there is no corruption. The CPC will initiate a small business loan guarantee scheme for small-scale entrepreneurs to ensure that their businesses do not collapse. The CPC will ensure that by 2015 we are generating 15,000 megawatts of electricity, and by 2019 we are generating 50,000 megawatts of electricity. And what will be the result? Industries will spring up, jobs will be created. We will take the G back from South Africa and the I back from Egypt, and we will become the giant of Africa, because that is our place, that is where we belong, and that is what we must be. Yes. And so let these words fill every heart and every mouth in every part of our nation. Let it awaken every man, every woman, every boy, and every girl, in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west. Let Zuma Rock amplify it, and let Aso Rock get ready for it. Let the rocks of Duse echo it and spread it throughout the north. Let the people of Jos shout it aloud with their sonorous voices. Let the waters of the river Niger bring it down south to the Niger Delta. And let the people of Ogoni, Oloibiri, and Okoma Kingdom weep no more. Let the people of Anambra and the people of Aba rejoice. Let Oluwara blast the sound aloud and spread it throughout the southwest. And let the streets of Lagos get ready for change. Let it become the shout of every bus conductor, the greetings of professionals, the banker over the counter, the lawyer to the client, the doctor to the patient, the lesson of every teacher, the message of every imam, the sermon of every preacher, and the rhymes of every rapper. Let two-faced and two-shot sing with one voice about two men with one goal and one pride, to save Nigeria, to change Nigeria, and to make Nigeria great. Let Banky West sing his mellifluous tone. Let the young people know that north, south, east, west, Nigeria can bank on only the best. Buhari-Bakare, simply the best. And let Zaki Azay, the man with the light, let him nation, to expose and chase out of power oppressive and corrupt politicians with hidden agenda, and let him replace them with these two men of integrity, honesty, accountability, transparency, and probity, Buhari-Bakare. And let MI and Mod 9 craft a rhyme in one line that the young minds may realize and realign with these great minds, Buhari-Bakare. Let NATO see and wear them see, make them see that this change they see is the change we need. And let Sonny Ade and Sonny Neji help the elders cast away their prejudices in their memories of these great men, and let Nigerians get ready for the sunny side of their lives, which is about to dawn on our nation in 2011. Buhari-Bakare. But I've got a word for the jailers. I have a word for those who have jailed Nigeria in poverty, in underdevelopment, in backwardness. I have a word for the jailers, and I need someone to help me talk to the jailers. And so let Asha, in her prophetic style, tell the jailers that the jailbreak is about to take place. But Nigerians have said, enough is enough. And when this change that we seek has come to be, we will all sing in the words of T.Y. Bello that the land indeed is green. So let these words spread across the nation. Let it spread until every Nigerian, male and female, old and young, Hausa and Fulani, Yoruba and Igbo, Tiv and Jukun, Nupe and Igala, Uroko and Isoko, Epik and Ibibio, Ijo and Ilaje, Umaleri and Aguleri, Esa and Benin, every Nigerian, from the beach sands of Lagos to the desert sands of Sokoto, from the plains of Maiduguri down to the clean streets of Calabar. Every Nigerian will embrace the vision of these two great men, and come April 9, 2011, Nigerians will go en masse and vote for the Congress of Progressive Change, CPC, and Nigeria will be saved, Nigeria will be changed, and Nigeria will be made great. Thank you, Nigerians. God bless you, and God bless the Republic of Nigeria.
To all the advertisement of good luck, Jonathan, is this young man speaking. I think we need to put this on the air. I think it needs to be on the airwaves. I think we need to go to the studio to do a sudden recording. And I'll make sure, though we've heard it, I will oblige him when GMB and Pastor Bakare step here. He will sing, he will recite it again, and they will be seated, and the whole nation will watch while they are seated. They are seated.